Okay, so this is a video I've wanted to make for a long time, and for whatever reason, I just haven't. It just hasn't happened. And I think it's an important video for a lot of people who are maybe starting out in video production or starting their own company, whatever that is, and not knowing how to find clients. Now, I come at this from a place of, I went to film school. I didn't go to business school. I didn't go to sales school. I didn't know how to run a business when I started. And in fact, when I started my current business, Image Capture Media, it was in a city that I didn't grow up in. So in 2011, I moved my wife and kid and dog from Regina to Vancouver, and I didn't really know anyone there when we moved. But in that time, I did manage to grow a business and support my family using video, using art, and helping people. And that is kind of the core of your business proposition, is you are helping people. And so here are some of the things that I think are important if you're starting a business, and these kind of relate to any business. These are like important basics that you need if you're trying to grow your business, doing whatever you want. These are the things that you can do anytime, no matter where you are in your business. And they're just the things that need to happen to build the business. And they're simple. They're really simple, but they take work and they take effort. So if you've been in business or around business for a few years, you've probably heard the term, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So the trick here to building business is to be known, liked, and trusted by people. And, you know, it's going to be about how well they trust your brand and how much they trust the people behind the brand. So the first step to really getting anywhere with that is to be seen. You got to be seen. And so that means a lot of things, but it mostly means that you have to be out meeting people. And this can be done in a lot of different ways. For me, I did a lot of networking, went to a lot of events. I worked in a co-working space for years, but going out and being around people that, you know, either clients or potential clients, or maybe just fellow business people who, you know, want to have your back. And so part of that is just building those relationships, and that takes time, but it is a huge benefit to your business. And that is like kind of the biggest part of sales and marketing, is being seen. If you're new to starting up a business or you're struggling to get clients, I would definitely recommend the first thing is go to networking events, maybe join a networking group, something like, you know, your local board of trade or BNI was good for me for a couple of years. Now, the like part of this, I think, is different from what a lot of people would expect. I mean, a lot of people kind of go into this with the idea of like, oh, you got to be likable, you should be affable, you should be liked by everyone. And I actually don't. I think that's the wrong approach. I think you got to go be yourself around enough people so that you can meet the people who will like you for who you are. And so those are the people who are going to then recommend you for your work because they actually like you. Don't go around pretending to be someone you're not, and don't force yourself to be likable. It's not likable. Just like, be yourself, be comfortable. And like, I say that, and I'm not a very outgoing person. And most of the things you talk about probably aren't going to be your business, right? Maybe there's something you're into. Maybe it's, you know, maybe you have kids. Maybe it's where you're from. Maybe, who knows? The point is, go be yourself, meet a bunch of people, find the people who you connect with, and those are the people who will, in the end, those are the people who are going to refer you. Now, the trust part is, this is going to be about communication, how you run your business. Always be upfront about everything. Be honest. If something goes wrong, be honest, fix it, make it right. But also make sure you have boundaries set up early so that people aren't going to walk all over you and, you know, make you do more work than you actually promised. So that's kind of a game that you're going to have to learn over time. And I might make more videos about how to do that if there's interest in this sort of thing. But on the trust side, being open and honest is the key to it. So when you're out at these events, there's a few key things that I think you need to have in place. Now, one of them used to be business cards. I actually haven't had business cards in a couple of years. I often just tell people that I've just run out of cards and I'm getting them reprinted. I think I'm gonna do that at some point, but it just hasn't been of interest. But I find it better to connect through LinkedIn, get an email address then and there. You actually want to get a real contact, and I think email is the best way. You want to be able to email people as opposed to just giving them your card and having to wait on whether or not they email you. Now, there's a few reasons for this. One of them is that you will end up giving out cards and maybe people will connect with you, maybe they won't. But another thing is, if you are getting their contact information, the next big thing is doing a follow-up. So emailing these people the next day or business day about, meeting, right? So you met them, you got their contact information. Now you need to email them and say, hey, it was great to meet you. Would love to catch up sometime and talk about that. Now, if you actually were talking about a project and you're doing your follow-up, then you need to keep that conversation going and you need to be arranging for another meeting. So that could be something along the lines of, it was really great to meet you. I would love to talk about this further. Do you have time for a phone call or a meeting in the next week or two, depending on the time frame that you guys discussed, that sort of thing. But the point is that you need to keep the conversation alive and moving. You can't just let it stagnate. You don't want to leave it till it's too late. If you leave it till it's too late, then there's a lot of things that can happen in that time. Maybe they find someone else, or maybe they just move on with the project and don't really do it. But I think the real key thing about doing the follow-up, the thing that is the most important, is it's about building the trust. That is your first sign of saying, I mean business, I'm serious, I will help and support you in achieving what you need. So if you want to keep going, let's keep going. And that gives them the option to say, okay, well, not right now, but you're going to be the first person we go to when we want to do it. And follow-ups are key because you'd be surprised at how often other people don't follow up. I hear it all the time from clients. So your follow-up is key to building trust and getting people to like you because people like people they trust and they can count on. And that is the name of the game, no matter what business you're doing. In my opinion, every industry is a service industry. We are all trying to help other people. Now, another really important thing that I think you need to bring with you to these events when you're meeting people, when you're talking to people, is you need an elevator pitch. And that doesn't need to be like a salesy pitch where you're trying to get people to buy your stuff. What it is just like a one-sentence explanation of your business. All right, condensed to be as small and compact and as simple as possible. So for me, when people ask me what I do, I tell them I'm a filmmaker. I use video to help companies reach an audience, make an emotional connection, and help drive sales. And that is actually like a big part of what I do. A lot of what I do are mini documentaries for clients where we make these videos so that people can get an emotional connection with them, right? People can get to know who these people are that they're going to be dealing with before they actually have to deal with them. And one of the things that has come up often is afterwards people talk about how their sales times shorten because when they're getting the calls where people are trying to figure out whether or not they want to do business with them, they're just not getting those calls anymore. People, when they call, they just want to do business. They're not trying to break the ice or figure things out. And there's an element of celebrity attached, even if it's just like super minute. When people see someone else on video, they can get an emotional connection with them and they can decide right then and there whether they want to do business or not. So being able to like communicate in a short and sweet way will, that'll open up questions, that'll open up conversations about your business. And then you don't have to like try and be salesy and be like, oh, will you please give me money? And so another thing about going to events, meeting people, do not do it with the intention of making money. I know it's counterintuitive, and I know it's even counter to why you might be going there, you are not actually there to make a sale. You are there to make a connection, because the people you meet in those meetings will support you later, and you do not know who that's going to be. There have been people who I've been like trying really hard to meet because I thought that their business would be really important to my business, and it just wasn't. Whereas there was people who I met and had conversations with and didn't think anything of, who have sent me a lot of business my way. And so be kind to everyone, be nice. You don't have to be likable in a way that isn't honest with who you are, but don't be a jerk, because you just never know what's going to happen. Another way to be seen that I haven't really talked about yet is find a community, right? So these are kind of like-minded people, whether they're doing the same thing as you or not. It is important to have a community, people you can talk to, people who you can ask questions about, and that can be a really good way of building things too. So for example, one of the things that I'm going to be looking at over the next year is joining my local film co-op. So in Vancouver, we have this thing called Cineworks, which is a film co-op where they've got gear, locations, and resources that people can rent and book out for pretty cheap. But I think the actual thing that I'm most interested out of joining that and DocBC is the opportunity to just network with other filmmakers. I've been networking with a lot of other business owners, people who don't do film, but I kind of really need to get back in touch with the filmmaking community. So I'm going to be doing that over the next year. Being in touch with your community, understanding who your community is and where, that's an important thing. You should definitely go out and help out, organize, volunteer, go to networking things, do all that sort of thing. Those are really great ways to, show that you and your business exist, and so people can know that you're someone who can be hired. Because that's one of the biggest things, is people don't know who they can or should hire for things. So just being out, being present is highly important. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. So if you have comments about tips you think are helpful for other people when they're starting a business, how to do sales, that sort of thing, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to see them. I'm sure other people would love to see them. And yeah, let's talk about it down there. And otherwise, I'll talk to you later.